Hello guys, how are you today? Hopefully you guys are having a good day. It is absolutely perfect outside. I had said the other day how, fall is struggling to arrive and I'm not complaining at all. And of course I'm still not complaining. But I do have to say, even though I love the heat and I love hot weather, this kind of weather that we're having right now is, during the day it's like mid 70s. In the morning it's a little cooler, which is why I have a sweater on. But it's been really nice. It does feel really good having a little bit less humidity, but we're not here to talk about the weather. Today we are going to talk about 6 traits of toxic people. This is, I always say, blah, blah, blah. I always say, this is a really interesting topic, blah, blah, blah. But I really do feel that way. And I feel like sometimes these one-off video topics can lead into future conversations, and obviously you guys know kind of the point of all of these videos is that I put out what I think, and then a lot of times you guys give me additional things that I didn't even think about. You guys give me those topics or comments or whatever that I didn't even think about. It can just be a really cool way of kind of continuing the conversation. And I appreciate that so much about all of these little videos that I do. So either way. The other thing that I'll say before I get too far into this video is I wanted to just take a second and thank my subscribers. As you guys know, the video that I did yesterday was a kind of a little one-off, and it was going to be a part 2. I don't think I'm going to post that, at least not right now. There's just no need. I did want to take a second in this video and just thank you guys for your support and your kind words, and just keeping me going. That's kind of one of the biggest things, is that with having this little community that I have, when I'm facing a time of not feeling super inspired or motivated to keep going, you guys really do keep me going. And I know that my video views fluctuate and all of that good stuff. That's just part of having a channel. But I know that there is a core group that really does enjoy my content, and I hear it from you guys and I feel your support so much. So thank you for encouraging me to keep going and encouraging me to continue to be myself and be confident and just continue to make content and keep the conversation going. And like I've said before, even if we don't always see eye to eye, we don't have to. That's the beauty of opinions, is none of them are going to be the same all the time. So either way, without boring you guys with that random chitter chatter, so before we get into the video, I want to let you guys know that when I'm talking about these toxic traits, this is definitely not every single trait under the sun, and some of these traits you guys might have thought about before, maybe you didn't think about it. And when I'm talking about toxic people, the one thing that I've learned over the years is that a lot of times toxic people can be the ones that are closest to you. It can be a friend that you've had for many years, or it might be a family member or a role model that you've known for a long time, or a boss or a manager. So when I talk about toxic people, it's not just random people that you might come across. A lot of times it's people that you've known for a really long time and maybe something has felt off. Okay, so toxic trait number 1. This could be when you consider people that are extremely critical of you. I consider that to be something that can make up a toxic person. Now, when I'm talking about people being critical, I realize that there are people that can be critical of you in the caring sense, and that is not what I'm talking about here. I'll give you guys an example. My dad has always been somewhat critical of me, but when he's critical of me, it's because he has my best interest in mind, and he knows who I am, and he knows what I'm capable of and what I can achieve if my head is in the game and if I'm dedicated and motivated to get something done. You have to also think about someone's interest that they might have in why they're being critical of you. Do they, do they care about you because they love you and that's why they're being critical? Or is it just someone who is not going to be happy no matter what you do, so they're being critical of you in a mean-spirited sense? I've had friends of mine that have been critical of me in the negative sense. And typically when you end up tracing it back, it all comes from a place of vengefulness, jealousy. And, I know that the word jealousy is sometimes thrown around a little bit much. And it's not something that I usually like to tag people as, but when you look at the facts and the evidence, you can really tell if are they actually jealous, or are you just using that as a cop-out? Unfortunately, there are just people in life that are jealous, and that's just how it goes. And when I also think of someone who is hypercritical and what I would consider extremely critical, I also think of the manner that it's being delivered. Are they being really cruel with their critical remarks? Someone being critical of the type of clothing that you wear, that doesn't help anyone. Why are you being critical about the kind of shirt that someone's wearing or the color that their hair is? These kinds of things hold no value. So those kinds of comments are usually just someone being toxic, and it is what it is. The next one is they never allow you to forget prior mistakes that you've made. And oh man, I've experienced this with family members. I've experienced this with everyone else in between. There are certain people in life, and you hear, oh, that person lives in the past. Oh, they hold on to history. Oh, they keep bringing up that one thing that I did on Christmas 8 years ago, and they bring it up anytime that they can. These types of people who consistently bring up the past anytime that they have the opportunity to. They're constantly digging it in. They're constantly telling new people about that mistake that you made. If these people didn't know about it, this person's going to make sure that they know about it. Especially if that new person is showing any interest in you or wanting to become your friend or, get to know you a little bit. There is that toxic person who will make sure that they bring up that mistake that you made 4 years ago. It does not matter if you have corrected your wrongs, if you've apologized, if X number of months or years has passed by. to that toxic person, it doesn't matter. It will constantly be brought up. And, I always talk about patterns of behavior, and sometimes I talk about it in the negative sense, but a lot of times it's more important to talk about it in the positive sense, where we always expect change and growth out of people. People claim that they love growth and they love change. But as much as people want to say that they love growth and change, to see some of those people be so toxic to continue to talk about some stupid mistake that was made. And, I get it. Some mistakes are noteworthy, and assuming that we're not talking about anything that is like illegal, I understand where there might be situations where it's like, okay, well, this person did some really bad stuff with minors, or that's like way more serious than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you made a mistake and you said the wrong thing and you apologized, but that's the thing that keeps being brought up by whoever. It could be your friend, your sister, your boss. Like, I've talked a lot about how I've worked in a working environment where it wasn't a learning environment, and I've never really elaborated on that. But when I think of that environment, when I say something isn't a learning environment, it's kind of like you're afraid to make a mistake, and you're also afraid that if you make that mistake, it will be brought up every single time you go for a review, or any single time that you have a conversation with your manager. They constantly bring up that one mistake that you made. That can be so frustrating. And what it does is it ends up creating an environment that doesn't feel like you can learn. So the next trait is, let's talk about when someone never celebrates your victories. I think that we've all known someone like this, and maybe we've known more than one person like this during our lifetime, where it feels like any small win that you have, it's like you're walking around with a balloon, and there's that one person that is there to pop your balloon. It doesn't matter what the weather is, what day of the week it is. If you've been on this path of doing great things, you have a small victory, and it's almost like you don't even want to tell that person about the victory, because you know that they are there to just quite literally rain on your parade. I cannot stand people like that. I realize that we can't always surround ourselves with people that are going to celebrate the good things and, allow growth and change and all the other things on this list that I'm going to talk about as well. It is hard to surround yourself with only people that are understanding and people who, are not toxic. But you can also control the size of your circle, and that could also help. If you are, like for me, I've recognized what toxicity looks like, and that's another reason why I don't have a lot of people that are in my circle, especially if we're going to talk about real life. My circle is very, very small. I don't let a lot of people in, and that's not to brag or anything like that. I'm just stating the facts because I try to avoid toxicity at all costs. And it is so much better that way. Does it get lonely sometimes? Yeah, but at the same time, the people that are around me are not toxic, so I always feel like my time is well spent. I always feel like we feed each other's energy, and I just feel like my time is better spent that way than having a bigger circle and having 5 or 6 toxic people who are doing one or more things off of this list. I think when it comes to having a small circle, I also do feel like some of that might come with age, because I know when I was younger, I always wanted a lot of friends. I wanted a lot of acquaintances, and I would throw around the friend tag like it was, going out of style, quite literally. Everyone was my friend, and, everyone knew my face or whatever. And as I got older, I realized that none of that matters. It does not matter if you have 50 people that you consider friends. If any one of them are there to drain your energy or not feed it at all, because they are toxic, then I would rather not have them in my circle. Ooh, this is another one that comes kind of hand in hand with one that I just talked about, and that is the toxic people that are there to turn others against you. And this definitely applies to kind of life online, which is very interesting. I think at one point or another, we've all felt like maybe there was a smear campaign out there against us. And it is easier for me to say, oh, just ignore it. It's super easy to say that. When you feel like that one person, or maybe it's multiple people, are so toxic that anyone that shows interest in you or might want to take time to get to know you, or maybe they met you out and they want to go to dinner, there is that one person who will be there to make sure that everyone knows what a bad person you are. Oh, he did so and so. She said da da da. And it also goes with the idea of not letting the past be the past. I think that with age, another thing that comes into play, at least that I think about, is my confidence level. And my confidence level in the person that I am, knowing my intentions, knowing my heart, knowing what I mean when I say something. I feel like when you're younger, it is, and maybe when you're older too, it all depends. Everyone's a little bit different, but it is a little bit, it's a little harder to let that kind of stuff just roll off your back. Because I don't know about with you guys, but for me, when I was younger, I was still going through the journey of self-discovery and kind of trying to, figure out, who am I? Like, what are my core values? And as the years went on, and now I stand firm in knowing who I am, I think as the confidence went up, my ability to cut the people out who are there to turn people against me, just to not pay it any mind. It's not worth it. One of the things that I will definitely acknowledge in this video is that it can be very difficult dealing with this type of toxic person if it's your family member. I've definitely had toxic people that were very close to me, including family. And that is much harder to reconcile and sort out when it is someone that is considered family. If you are someone that knows that one person that is always trying to make sure that everyone else knows what a bad person you are, if you're in a position where you can cut them out of your life, then that might be something that you want to consider. But if it's someone who you can't necessarily cut out of your life because they are just family or they're close to you, then I would definitely make sure that you are keeping your mental health and your self-discovery journey front and center. If you haven't gone through that yet, I would encourage everyone to go through that, because it does change your perspective of what other people might say about you, and it helps. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, the next one, this will only take a second because I really don't have a ton to say about this one, but the trait of a toxic person not ever being thankful for anything that you might do for them. I think that we've all had that friend that you feel like you've given 80% and they've given 20 or less, and that sucks. You know, you try to go the extra mile to touch base or make sure that you're carrying a conversation or checking in on them or inviting them out to dinner or inviting them over for, hang out, like let's watch a movie. And you just always feel like you're the one giving 80%. They come off as ungrateful or like they're not interested. That is frustrating and it sucks. When I've said before that I'm at the point in my life where I give the energy that I'm given, that applies to a lot of different things, but it definitely applies to my real life, because life is too short. Life is too short to be out here investing hours, minutes, days, months, years on someone who's not giving you even a percentage of what you're giving them. Whether it's respect, time, dignity, whatever it is, you're worthy. And if you feel like you're dealing with someone that is not thankful or super ungrateful, never has the time for you, never meets you halfway, none of that, that's where I go back to this small circle ideology. And to some people, they might be like, oh, well, you must just not have any friends. I don't need a lot of friends. I'm at the point in my life now where I have come to the full realization that life is so short. I've come to the realization that life is so, so short, and it is so freaking precious. And I have no time, energy, or patience to deal with someone who is consistently coming off as ungrateful or not interested in what I'm giving them. They're not giving it back. And I realize, people have bad days. They might be having a tough month, stress, job, kids, husband, wife, whatever. But I'm talking about over an extended period of time. If I continue getting the shit end of the stick, then move on. Something else I realized is that toxic friends will sit at the table with your enemy. And that is also something that I just gotta cut ties. I am so quick to cut people off just because, I've had a couple lessons, especially the last year or so, that have reminded me of how short life is. It is way too short to be spending that time on bullshit, guys. And the last one that we're going to touch on is the trait when someone tries to make everything your fault. And I think that we've all dealt with this. It might be a parent, a friend, a colleague. If you know something is not your fault, and if someone is trying to turn that shit around on you, no, we do not have the tolerance to be a punching bag or play the blame game with people. You should not have to take the fallout or the burden of being blamed for a mistake unless it was your mistake. I think that we can all own up to our mistakes, but how odd is it that this person possibly could, all in the same breath, blame you for something, pin it on you, and then make sure that everyone else around you or around them knows of said mistake, and half the time you didn't even make the mistake. You were blamed for it. How crazy is that? So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know, what do you think about these toxic traits? Do you think of anyone in particular in your personal life when it comes to these? We're just going to do our best to say no to toxic goals now and forever. So either way, for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.